The envelope flap was still damp from his thumb when he handed it to me, not sealed, just pressed shut like the difference might soften the blow. Dad didn't say anything right away. He sat down across from me on the back porch like it was any regular Thursday night in late August, like the crickets chirping past the screen door and the smell of overripe tomatoes made this all okay. But the second I touched that envelope, I knew something was off. "Just take a look," he said. I didn't open it right away. My fingers hovered. It felt wrong, not the weight, not the paper, the air between us, his breathing. He looked everywhere but at me. It was 2 weeks after Mom's memorial, and I was still getting mail addressed to her. Catalogs, estate service flyers, condolence cards arriving late. I'd taken some time off work, came back to town, handled most of the logistics while my sister Rachel stayed upstate with her husband, Jason. Jason, who never lifted a damn finger during any of it. Jason, who wasn't even there when we scattered her ashes. And now this envelope. I opened it slowly. One sheet, folded once. The paper felt fresh, like it had just come off the printer, the kind you use when you want something to look official, even if it's not notarized. It was a single paragraph, no salutation, no signature. Just, "This letter serves as confirmation that the full disbursement originally intended for Daniel Weller, per informal family agreement, has been redirected to Jason R. Matheson, per alternate financial arrangement agreed upon by immediate family." I blinked, read it again. My full name in black ink, struck out in essence and replaced with his. I looked up, "What is this?" Dad sighed like it physically hurt him. It's what made the most sense long term. "Long term?" I asked, my throat felt dry. "You're giving my inheritance to Rachel's husband." "It's not like that." I held the letter up between us, fingers tight at the corners. "Dad, this is literally like that." He looked at the floorboards, the same boards I helped him replace after a hailstorm when I was 16. I remembered how he used to toss me nails without looking, trusting I'd catch them. Now he couldn't even meet my eyes. "I needed to help them get the business off the ground," he said. "It's a family investment. You'll benefit too, eventually." I laughed just once. It came out bitter. "They opened a vineyard, Dad, in upstate New York. Jason doesn't know jack about wine. Last I checked, he was still asking if Merlot was a red or a white." "He's learning," Dad said defensively. "Oh great, I feel better already." He waved a hand. "Look, I didn't want to make a big thing out of this. That's why I didn't tell you until now. It's done. The funds were transferred last week." I stood up, my chair scraped across the deck like a gunshot. "And you want me to just sit here and what? Shake his hand at Thanksgiving, pretend this never happened?" He finally looked at me. "I want you to keep it quiet for your sister's sake." There it was. The real ask, not just the money, not just the betrayal, but my silence. I stared at him. "You mean for your sake?" He didn't answer that. I left not long after that, drove to the grocery store parking lot and just sat there for 20 minutes with the AC running and the receipt from a Diet Coke fluttering against the dash. You ever have one of those moments where everything feels warped, not dramatic, not explosive, just off? Like someone shifted your whole life 5 degrees to the left and you didn't notice until your knee hit the table edge. I texted Rachel. "Hey, got something I want to talk about." Read, no reply. I waited an hour, called straight to voicemail. She'd been dodging me for weeks since the memorial, always so swamped with the new place, but now I understood why. They knew. They all knew. Except me. The next morning, Dad called like nothing had happened, asked if I'd checked the oil in my car before the drive back, said there was leftover stew in the fridge. I didn't say much, just grunted, told him I'd be heading out soon. I could feel it in my voice, that hollow, polite tone I used on people I didn't trust. Before I left, I checked Mom's old dresser, bottom drawer, same spot she used to keep things she didn't want Dad rummaging through, receipts, doctor's letters, her will. It wasn't there, not the original draft. I found a printed copy tucked into a worn folder labeled "Stuff Legal," no envelope, no seal. But it was dated 4 years ago, and the language was clear. Equal distribution of available assets between surviving children, no third-party transfers without prior consent. Surviving children, not children-in-law. It wasn't binding. Technically, Dad had handled the finances and the estate wasn't complicated. But Mom had made her wishes plain. And now they were gone. I stopped by my old apartment on the way out of town. My buddy Mark was still subletting it. He handed me a six-pack and said, "You look like somebody ran over your name." I told him a version of the story, left out the letter, left out Jason. Mark whistled low. "That's brutal, man." "Yeah. You gonna fight it?" I shrugged. "Legally, there's nothing to fight." He cracked open a can. "So what now?" I didn't have an answer. Not yet. But the next day, I drove to the vineyard. Not to confront anyone, not yet. Just to see. The sign was new, big curved wood, script lettering, Matheson Ridge Winery. No mention of Rachel, no mention of Dad. Just Jason's name and spirit. I parked a ways down the gravel road and walked the perimeter. They were still under construction, a white tent flapping over a half-built tasting area, stacked cases near a truck that looked like it hadn't passed inspection in a decade. Jason came out of the barn wearing a branded polo shirt and sunglasses. He didn't see me. But I saw him. And I saw my name in the dust of that place, not carved, not honored. Just erased. I didn't stay long at the vineyard. Didn't make a scene, didn't get out of the car again. I watched Jason wave at a delivery guy, shouting something I couldn't hear, and then disappear back inside, like he'd already slipped into his role, owner, boss, beneficiary of a dream that wasn't his to begin with. I pulled away slowly. I didn't even kick up dust. Back in my apartment that night, I tried to sleep, couldn't. The air conditioning buzzed louder than usual, like it was trying to fill the silence. I flipped my pillow, got up, paced. Every sound, ice cracking in the freezer, traffic rolling past, felt like someone testing my limits. Around 2 in the morning, I pulled out the envelope Dad gave me. Still folded, still creased. I stared at it like it might blink first. Then I pulled up my laptop and started digging. Not revenge, not yet. Just facts. Jason Matheson, registered LLC, opened 8 months ago. Initial funding listed as private family contributions. No loans, no angel investors, nothing but my dad's retirement withdrawals and whatever Rachel had from her old accounting job, which, as I now confirmed, she'd quietly left 6 months before. She was in this too, fully. She wasn't duped, she was in. The next day, I drove to Mom's old attorney. He remembered me, offered me lukewarm coffee and a sympathetic nod. "I heard about your mother," he said. "She was a strong woman." "Yeah," I said, "she was." I handed him the letter Dad gave me. His brow furrowed as he read, "This isn't legally binding, you know." I figured. But it's enough to suggest something was diverted. Without notice or consent. He leaned back. "Did your mother have a finalized will?" "She did, but I think Dad overrode it once the probate cleared. It wasn't a complex estate." He nodded. Technically, he had the discretion, especially if everything passed to him first. "So I'm screwed." "You're not screwed, but it's a steep hill to climb. If you want to press this, it's not about what's legal, it's about what's provable and persuasive." I didn't respond right away. The words felt like a puzzle with no edge pieces. "Let me guess," I finally said. "Even if I make a fuss, they'll call it jealousy." He didn't deny it. "I just want it on record," I added, "even if it doesn't change anything." He nodded. "That I can do." Rachel finally called that evening. I didn't answer the first time. Didn't answer the second. She texted instead. "Can we talk without this getting ugly?" I waited 10 minutes, then I called her back. No small talk, no "hey, how are you," just straight into it. "Why didn't you say anything?" She hesitated. "Because I knew you react like this. Like someone who got screwed over." "No, like someone who still thinks everything should be equal, even when it's not." That stopped me cold. "What the hell does that mean?" She exhaled hard. "Dan, you don't have kids, you don't have a mortgage, you don't even own anything. Since when is that a requirement for inheritance?" "It's not, but when Dad had to make a choice, he thought about need, not fairness." "Need? Jason needs my inheritance to play vineyard cosplay." "It's not cosplay, we're building something real." I sat down on the edge of my bed. My hands were cold. "You know, Mom wouldn't have wanted this. She also wouldn't have wanted us tearing each other apart over it. She wanted equal ratch." She was quiet for a moment, then, He was just trying to help, don't make this into war. I didn't reply, there was nothing left to say. Before she hung up, she added one last thing. I'm sorry it happened this way, I really am. But she didn't offer to fix it. She didn't even offer to share. That weekend, I went to clear out Mom's garden. Dad said the HOA was complaining about weeds and he didn't have the back strength for it anymore. He didn't say it was a peace offering, but I think part of him hoped it might be. The garden was overgrown, vines curling through the wire fence, wild mint choking the soil. Mom would have hated it. I spent 2 hours yanking roots, tossing rusted stakes into a pile, trying not to think about how many times I'd helped her out here as a kid. Dirty knees, bug bites, lemonade breaks under the awning. Dad watched from the porch. Eventually he came down. You're mad, he said. I kept my gloves on, kept working. You have a right to be. Still silent. But I'm asking you to think about the bigger picture. I finally stood, looked him square in the face. You made a choice, you picked one of us. I picked what was practical. No, I said, you picked who made you feel useful. He blinked. What? You wanted to feel needed. Jason gave you a blueprint. I gave you no plans, so you invested in the one who asked for your help. He didn't deny it, he just looked tired. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't mean not to either. We didn't speak again after that, not for a while. I left the garden half finished, let the mint win. 2 days later, a letter arrived in my mailbox. Typed unfolded. From Rachel. Dan, this doesn't make anything right, but I want to offer you a partial buy-in. If you want to be part of the vineyard, we can allocate a share to you. Jason's already agreed. You'll have to sign the silent partner clause. Let me know. I stared at it for a long time. Silent partner. That was the trade. Give up my voice. Get back a piece of what was already mine. I didn't respond. Not yet. But I printed the letter, folded it cleanly, and added it to the folder marked pending. I didn't call her. Didn't text, didn't acknowledge the letter. It sat in that folder, pressed flat between the printout of Mom's old will and the note Dad handed me that night on the porch. A quiet collection of decisions made without me. I didn't shred it, I didn't rip it in half, but I also didn't let it live on my desk where things I plan to act on usually sit. That's how I knew I wasn't ready to move on yet. A week went by. I went back to work, back to my apartment, back to the familiar sounds, elevator hum, upstairs neighbor vacuuming at midnight, pipes knocking in the walls like a cough you learn to ignore. But something had shifted in me. I didn't laugh at my coworkers' dumb jokes in the break room, didn't bring my usual thermos, just bought coffee from the cart outside and sat with it like it owed me answers. I used to think betrayal came with fireworks, yelling, slammed doors, burned bridges. But this was like slowly noticing a leak in your ceiling, the stains spreading quiet day by day until the drywall gives out above your head. I talked to Mark again over wings and beer. Told him about the buy-in offer. Silent partner, he repeated, chewing. What does that even mean? It means they get my money and I get to shut up. He raised an eyebrow. You're not actually thinking about taking it, are you? I don't know. Dude, come on. I'm not saying I will, I don't want to make a decision out of spite. Mark wiped his fingers. This isn't about spite, this is about principle. They blindsided you, then asked you to play along. That's not family, that's PR damage control. I nodded, yeah. But I still wasn't sure what I wanted. Justice. Closure. Or just acknowledgement. Mark nudged my arm. What if you said no but made it public? Like post about it. No, like go visit, talk to other people, vendors, locals, make it clear who helped build the foundation and who they left out. Sounds messy. Sometimes truth is. He had a point. But I wasn't sure I wanted revenge. I wanted reckoning. Quiet, focused, earned. That weekend, I went back to the vineyard. This time, I didn't park far down the road. I pulled right up into the gravel lot out front, stepped out in plain sight, and walked toward the white tent. A young woman was setting up tasting tables. Name tag read Hannah. She smiled politely. We're not open until noon. I'm not here to drink, I said. I'm here about the Mathesons. Are you with one of the distributors? No, just family. Her smile faltered. Oh, Rachel or Jason? Neither, I'm Rachel's brother. Her eyes widened slightly. Oh, I've heard about you. Yeah, I said, I figured. She glanced around. Do you want me to get someone? No, I just want to walk the property. I won't go inside, just a few minutes. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay, just stay on the outer paths. We've got crews working. Thanks. I walked through the side path that cut past the rows of young vines, past the half-built deck area, toward the barn where I saw Jason last time. It was coming together. Not fancy, not slick, but organized, intentional. It made me sick. Not because they'd succeeded, but because they were allowed to. Because Dad handed them the runway and told me to keep watching from the terminal. A man in a dusty button-down came out of the barn, balding, rough hands. He looked at me. You lost? No, I said, just visiting. He squinted. You Dan? I blinked. Yeah. He stuck out a hand. I'm Steve, contractor, heard about you. Let me guess, I said, shaking his hand, the disowned brother with a grudge. He chuckled. They didn't say that, but they sure stopped saying much once your name came up. I nodded. He leaned on a post. You helped fund this, right? Unwillingly. He frowned. That checks out. Things didn't quite add up for me either. What do you mean? He shrugged. Just some payment timing stuff. Invoices, sudden liquidity. Looked like someone fronted them a chunk early on, then disappeared from the paperwork. I sighed. That was me. Well, he said, if it means anything, I've worked with enough people to know when something smells off. Your sister seems decent, but that guy, he tilted his head toward the barn. All flash, no roots. I didn't say anything. Anyway, he added, if you ever want to make it right, I got names of a few folks who don't like being sold a story without the footnotes. Appreciate it. He handed me a folded sheet, his card scribbled with a few numbers. I pocketed it. Then I left. That night I called Dad. Straight to voicemail. I tried again, left a message. Hey, I know you probably don't want to talk, but I went to the vineyard today. I talked to Steve, he knows. I didn't tell him anything specific, but people are starting to ask questions. You should probably prepare for that. No reply. Next day. Still nothing. Rachel finally texted. Was it necessary to go there? I replied. Was it necessary to spend my future on your husband's vanity project? She didn't respond. A few days later, I got a certified envelope in the mail. Postmarked from a law office. Inside was a formal proposal. Silent partnership agreement, Daniel Weller. 5% equity in Matheson Ridge Winery, LLC in exchange for non-disclosure and waiver of prior claims. I laughed when I read that. Out loud. A full bitter laugh that scared my neighbor's cat off the windowsill. Waiver of prior claims. Like they were the ones being generous. Like they were throwing scraps down to the guy who once built shelves in their garage and replaced brake pads in their car for free because Jason didn't know how. They didn't want me involved. They just wanted me silent. I didn't sign the paperwork. Didn't even call the law office to reject it. Just folded the pages along their creases, slid them into a manila folder, and stuck it on the shelf with everything else they didn't want to talk about. Every lie they tried to rename as generosity. But silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes it means documentation. I started collecting invoices, public filings, business registry documents, old emails from Rachel where she talked about future plans before Mom even got sick, notes Mom wrote in the months before she passed, lists, journal pages, a scrawled line in her datebook that said, "Don't let Dan get edged out, not fair." I found that last one on the inside flap of a gardening catalog, wedged behind a drawer in her study. It wasn't a legal document, but it felt like the most real thing in the entire damn situation. I didn't tell anyone I was back in town again. Not even Mark. I stayed with a former coworker, Sarah, who had a guest room and a sharp eye for bullshit. She didn't ask a lot of questions, just handed me a spare key and said, "Stay as long as you need." Over dinner one night, I finally told her what was going on. She let me talk without interrupting, the way good friends do. Then she leaned back and said, "So what are you gonna do, wait them out or show your side of it?" I don't know, they already own the narrative. No, she said, they own the winery. The narrative is still contested. That stuck with me. A few days later, I heard from Steve again, the contractor at the vineyard. He left a voicemail. Hey Dan, I talked to a couple folks, local supply guys, former workers. You're not the only one who got left out. If you ever want to talk to someone from the county office, I know a guy. I called him back. We met at a diner 2 towns over, sat in a booth with cracked red vinyl seats and a waitress who kept the coffee hot. Steve brought a folder. Inside, printouts of unpaid material orders, delayed contractor payments, and most importantly, a revised budget projection Jason had submitted to a potential investor. A projection that listed Dad's gift as initial family capital without naming the source. No mention of me. No mention of Mom's estate. It was small, but it was something. Why are you helping me? I asked. Steve shrugged, because I've seen guys like Jason before, and I've seen sons like you get left in the cold because they didn't dress it up pretty. You stayed, you buried your mom, you fixed your dad's gutters. That counts for something even if it doesn't show up on paper. I nodded quiet. Just be careful, he added. Rachel might not know everything Jason's been saying, or maybe she does. Either way, she's not the enemy. She's the one you'll miss if this goes too far. I didn't answer that, because I didn't know if I believed it anymore. A week later, I saw Jason at a farmer's market. He was buying crates of peaches and talking loud enough for everyone to hear. Organic sourcing, local-only policy, he was saying. We're trying to build relationships with real growers. I waited until he was alone by the truck. He looked up as I approached, paused, smiled like he was about to sell me something. Well, Dan, the man thought you moved on. I stared at him. You filed a silent partner agreement using my name and a waiver clause like I was an inconvenience. His smile didn't drop. Legal formality. Rachel thought it might be a nice peace offering. You didn't think I'd ask questions. You didn't ask questions when Dad cut the check. Because I didn't know Jason. He gave a shrug. Details. It's all the same pool, man. We're all family. That word again. Family. I took a step closer. You're not family. You're a house guest who found the spare key and rewrote the will. He raised both hands. Look, if you've got beef, talk to Rachel or Dad. Oh, I will. Just wanted to let you know I've got everything. The paperwork, the discrepancies, the invoices, even some things you probably forgot to delete. His smile finally wavered. You going to sue? He asked. No, I said, I'm going to talk. His brow furrowed. Talk to who? Everyone who'll listen. I started small. Local online forums, Facebook groups, quiet messages to former neighbors, friends of Mom, people who knew me growing up. I didn't blast accusations, I just told the story plainly. Here what was promised. Here what was taken. Here who smiled while it happened. I didn't name the vineyard at first. Didn't have to. People figured it out. Comments rolled in. I always wondered why Dan wasn't involved. Jason always rubbed me the wrong way. That poor boy, he was the one who cleaned out the garage when their mom passed, while Jason posted wine selfies. It snowballed. By the time a local food blogger caught wind and messaged me for a quote, Rachel finally called. This time I answered. Her voice was tight, controlled. What are you doing? She asked. Sharing my story. You're smearing us. No, I said, I'm correcting the record. You think this helps anything? No, but it stops me from pretending. She went quiet. Then you could have come to me. I did. Silence again. I wanted us to stay close, Dan. You didn't want us equal, you wanted me quiet. She didn't argue. Before she hung up, she said one more thing. Whatever comes next, just know I didn't want it this way. I didn't respond. Because that's exactly what Dad said too. Dad showed up unannounced. No call, no text. Just rang the buzzer outside my apartment one rainy Tuesday evening like we were still on speaking terms. I hadn't seen him in over a month. By then, the posts had picked up traction. A few small local papers ran blurbs, nothing explosive but enough to get noticed. Quiet inheritance dispute leads to louder questions. Family business under scrutiny after brother's claims. Most didn't name names. But anyone who knew us didn't need them to. So when I saw Dad standing there, soaked and silent, holding a paper bag with 2 takeout containers and a sad look in his eyes, I knew something had broken. Maybe in him. Maybe just around him. He sat at the kitchen table, same spot he used to pick apart busted toasters and old radios when I was a kid. We didn't eat right away. He unpacked the food slowly, samosas, rice, tikka masala, and then pushed one container toward me without a word. He looked smaller than I remembered, or maybe I was finally seeing him clearly. Why now? I asked. He didn't pretend to not understand. Because it's gone too far. No, I said, it's finally gone far enough. He lowered his gaze. I never planned for it to unravel like this, he said. I thought, if I helped them now, it would all even out later. Rachel and Jason needed the momentum. You always landed on your feet. I shook my head. You didn't even ask me. I didn't want to burden you. I laughed once, bitter and low. No, you didn't want to be uncomfortable. He didn't deny it. I just thought you'd understand, he said. Understand that you gave away something Mom intended for me, that you handed it to a man who wasn't even around when we needed him. He looked up, eyes damp. I miss her, he said. I do too, I replied. For a second that sat between us, raw and untouched. I wasn't trying to erase you, he added. No, you were trying to feel needed again. You gave Jason your attention because he asked for it. I didn't. I thought we were past that point. I thought being there for Mom, for you, was enough. Dad exhaled slowly. I failed you, he said, quiet, honest. I chose wrong. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I opened the folder I'd kept on my counter, the one with all the printouts, notes, emails. I slid it across the table. You don't have to read all of it, I said, but you need to understand what you co-signed. He opened it. Saw the draft of Mom's will. The note from her planner. Jason's budget projections with his own gift, reframed as seed funding. The silent partner clause. He didn't speak for a while. Just read. His hand trembled slightly as he turned one of the pages. Eventually, he set the folder down and looked at me. What do you want me to do? A strange question, one that caught me off guard. I could have said reverse the transfer, apologize publicly, call Jason out. But instead, I said the one thing that felt truest. I want you to admit I was right to speak. He nodded slowly. You were. I let the silence sit there a minute longer. Then I asked, are you going to tell them that? He swallowed. Yes. And what about the money? He sighed, some of it's gone, but I still have control over a portion. Then put it in writing, no promises, no back porch envelopes, something legal, something real. He nodded again. I will. It took a few weeks to sort through the details. But Dad followed through. A small trust, nothing life-changing, but enough to mark a line in the sand that said, you mattered, you were never invisible. It didn't undo the damage. Didn't change what Rachel did. Or how Jason still smiled like he'd never done anything wrong. But it gave me room to stop grinding my teeth every time I opened the mailbox. And that counted for something. Rachel emailed. Not a call, not a visit. Just an email with the subject line, if you're willing. Inside, a few paragraphs, apology adjacent, defensive in places, but human. We made decisions in motion, Dan. Momentum carried us. That's not an excuse, but it is what happened. You didn't deserve to be sidelined. I let that happen. I'm sorry. She attached a file, a revised partnership proposal, not silent, a real stake, smaller than I once had, but honest. She ended the email with, it's okay if you never want to be part of this, but I didn't want to keep pretending you were, not after everything. I didn't reply. Not right away. I walked to the park instead, sat on the same bench I used to take Mom to when her legs started getting weaker. The trees were just starting to turn, that in-between time when the air smells like both dust and change. I looked up, closed my eyes, and for the first time since the envelope, I breathed without clenching my jaw. I didn't know what I'd do next. Didn't know if I'd join the business or burn it all down. But I knew I wouldn't be quiet. Not ever again. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.